Okay, shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah, to Barakatham, to all the brothers. Yahweh Shema Latan Hashem Yahushua, to all the sisters. This is the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, on the commanding journey of Hannah. The ISUPK teach that blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are the biblical Israelites that the Bible speaks of. And because we are those people, we have ways that we need to conduct ourselves, man. We have laws that we need to keep. We have laws of brotherhood. And these laws is what keeps our nation together, man. In this system, in this society, there is no brotherhood. Our people weren't taught, how to love each other. Our people, fathers weren't taught how to deal with their children. Wives weren't taught to deal with their husbands. Husbands weren't taught how to deal with their wives. And brotherhood is what keeps a nation together, man. You notice all these heathen nations, the Arabs, they love the Arabs, man. They have brotherhood. They love their people. They have their culture. The Chinese, the so-called the East Indians, all these other nations, they have brotherhood. They have their culture. They love one another. But blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we're all divided, man. And brotherhood keeps our nation together. Brotherhood builds us up. And that's what I'm going to get into today, man. Today is the Brotherhood class, taught by myself, Officer 500 Ra'arban. This class is usually taught by Officer 500 to Zarpawan. He's running a bit late. He'll be on shortly. We also have classes every day of the week other than Sunday. So on Monday, we have the history class taught by Officer 5000 Karathia. That is taught in the school, which is 394 Lodge Road in Birmingham, for postcode postcode B18 5PW. That class will be from 7 till 9. Tuesday Brotherhood class, usually taught by Officer 500 Zarpawan. I'm covering today. We have the Wednesday law class, which is taught by Officer 5000 Damgabar. It's also taught in the school from 7 to 9 p.m. The Thursday scripture breakdown class taught by Captain of 10,000 Parashia, also in the school. So if you have any questions, bring all your questions to that class, whether in the school in person or online. Bring all your questions to that class. If you have any scriptures you don't understand or are confused by, you need broken down, bring them to that scripture breakdown class. On Friday, we have the Lashwan Kodash, the Hebrew class, the Holy Tongue, taught by Officer 5000 Shamgar. That one's taught online, so it's not in the school, and it will stream from 7 till 9. We also, on Friday, we have the On the Ends radio show, hosted by Officer 5000 Karathia and Officer 5000 Damgabar. On the Saturday, we have the Sabbath class, which is usually from around 10 to 11 a.m. Without further ado, I'm going to kick off into the scriptures. Today's breakdown is on tithing and how that builds our nation, and why tithing is important, the law around tithing, and the spirit behind tithing and giving and charity. The first scripture I'm going to get into is Numbers chapter 18 verse 21, which breaks down the sort of origins of tithing. Let me get that. Numbers 18 and verse 21. Okay, the book of Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21. So officer just joined. Shalom Adwan Yabba Shem Shabakatah.
Shalom Yabba Shem Shabakatah.
So like you said, could you get me book of Numbers chapter 18 verse 21, Book Sure?
Yeah. 21. Numbers chapter 18 and verse 21. And behold, I have given the children of Levi.
So the Most High gave the children of Levi. Now the children of Levi were the priests back in those times. The Lord reserved the children of Levi to be priests. So there was something that was known as the Levitical priesthood. So back in those days, all the priests were Levites. Whereas in this day and age, any tribe can be a priest under the order of Melchizedek. For example, Christ himself was a priest, and Christ was of the tribe of Judah. Anyone in this day and age can be, as long as you have the children of Israel, you can be a priest and you can teach your people. We have priests now of all tribes, Benjamin, Judah, Levi, all the tribes, Ephraim, Gad. You don't have to be of the tribe of Levi, but in this time, the tribe of Levi were known for being the priests. Go ahead.
Go on, so 21. So, and behold, I have given thee the children of Levi, all the tenth in Israel, for an inheritance.
So the Most High gave the tribe of Levi a tenth of all Israel for an inheritance, meaning that all these other tribes would give unto the children of Levi a tenth of what they had. The tribe of Judah, everyone in that nation would give a tenth of what they had to the tribe of Levi, so that they would have an inheritance. All these other tribes would give part of what they have to the Levites, so they would have an inheritance, because they didn't work, service job. They didn't have menial labor. They didn't have, what's the word? They didn't do servile work. Their work was the work of the priests. And the other nations would do farming, trade, merchants. They would do all these other things to gain income, farmland, gain wealth, farm animals. The Levites would only they'd be reserved for the priestly work, the work of the priests. So these other tribes would give unto them. That would be sort of their wages for the priest, the work of the priests. They would get a tenth from all the other tribes. Go ahead.
Khan. And also, Salakia, if I may, because they didn't get any land, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they never had. I don't know if you said that already. Did you say that, Salakia? I'm not sure.
Well, they didn't have a land. They didn't have
right. Inheritance. Right, mm-hmm. Inheritance, right, Salakia. All right, no sir. Khan. All right, for their service which they served.
And they
even the service
for the service that they served, the priest, they did the work of the priests. They taught the people. They carried out the law. They did judgments. They gave counsel, and for that work, for that service, all these other tribes give them a tenth of what they had. Go ahead.
That's right. Even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation.
And the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. So they did the service of the church, the congregation of the Israelites. They were at camp, they were teaching the people, they were holding councils, they were giving breakdowns. That's the service, that's the work that they did. From there, if you could get me the book of Malachi, chapter 3 and verse 8. Sure.
Malachi what, Salakia? Malachi
chapter 3 and verse 8.
3 and 8, God. Right. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8. Will a man rob God?
Now the Bible asks, will a man rob God? Now, how does a man rob God? Because you can't physically, the Most High isn't something you can physically touch or physically, see. So how do you rob God? It's gonna break it down later on. Go ahead.
God, yet you have robbed me.
And yet, the scripture says we have robbed the Most High. We have taken from the Most High.
Right.
We have done the Most High wrong, man. We have robbed him. Go ahead.
God. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee?
And we say, you say, well, the Most High, how could I have robbed the Most High? I don't, I've never seen or felt the Most High. How people say, how could I have robbed him? What do you mean? Go ahead.
God. In tithes and offerings.
We rob the Most High in tithes and offerings.
That's right.
When our people don't give their tithes and offerings, which is a commandment, they are robbing the Most High.
Right.
Well, they think to themselves, well, I don't want to give 10% because I've got rent to pay or I've got bills to pay. That 10% doesn't belong to you. That 10% already
That's
belongs to the
right.
Most High. So when you keep that to yourself and you don't give it to the priests, you are robbing the Most High. You are stealing from the Most High, because that 10% belongs to the priest. It belongs to the priest that will do the work of the Lord and will further our nation. That will bring out this truth, that
That's
will
right.
go to camp every week and teach our people and show our people their transgressions. Teach our people these breakdowns. Give to our people. We set up food drives. We can give to the poor of our people. We have all these different programs in the ICPK that we give to the poor, the needy, the fatherless, the widows. When you hold back that 10%, you are robbing the Most High, man. Go ahead.
And Salakia, like, if I may add as well, like, people
Mm-hmm.
think if they give to the Christian church or to some charity, that they're doing good, or that's, I'm saying, that the Lord's pleased with that, or that's your temperate, you give to the church, giving you 10%. That is giving your 10% to another God, or
Right.
doing your pledge to another God or another allegiance. Unless you're sending your tithes to the ISUPK, you understand, on the commanding general Yohana, then your 10% or your tithe is of you still robbing the Lord right there. You
Right.
understand? So, Salaki, if I may point that out. You know what I mean?
Oh, no sweat. Yeah, when you give your tithes to the Christian church, you don't see
Right.
that. You don't see that money no more. That money don't
Mm.
go to helping the poor, helping the fatherless. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
no food drives like that in the Christian church. But the pastor's got a nice car though.
Right.
The pastor's got a nice, $1,000 suit on and a nice watch, a Casio, a Movado watch. That's what the
Mm.
pastor's got. But what about the flock? What about the people of the congregation? What do they see out of out of what they give? They just see the church getting, buying bigger buildings and you know, the pastor has all the nice podium, nice expensive mic.
Right.
He can show himself off. But the people don't see that. The people don't benefit from that. The
Right. That's right.
ICPK, listen, man, we help our people. When you give these tithes, you are helping the school grow, man. You are helping more brothers come off drugs. You are helping more brothers and sisters stop killing each other and killing their babies, man.
That's right.
You see the works in the ICPK. Go ahead.
Quran, verse 9. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation.
And because we robbed the Most High, because this whole nation, none of us were giving tithes. None of us, before coming into the truth, we didn't know about the law of tithes. So none of us were giving it. We were all cursed, man. We were all suffering them curses that's found in Deuteronomy when you don't keep the law.
Right.
We were cursed that although we were trying to, penny pinching and trying to hold on to money and save and not giving tithes, our people could never, gain wealth. We could never really build wealth. Because we think that, if we just hold our money and then never give it away and we build up and save and save and save, eventually we'll be rich like the white man. Eventually we'll be rich like all these Asians and the Arabs. But that's not how it works.
Right.
We are stealing from the Most High when we don't give tithes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you steal from the Most High, when you break these law, statutes, and commandments, the Most High punishes you for that. You get curses for that, man. So our people wonder why, they're for generations they've been in the hood and they could never seem to make it out, man. No matter how much they save, no matter how much they try and hold it themselves, you could never really make it out of that curse, man, that position. That's because that curse comes from the Most High, because you don't give tithes, man.
Right.
You want a penny pinch and hold to yourself. You don't give what belongs to the Most High, man. You rob the Most High. And that's why you're still in the hood, man. That's why you can never build. It's always paycheck to paycheck, man. You don't have no true support. When you fall on hard times, it's lights out, man. You'll end up on the streets. But when you give your tithes to the ISUPK, when you give your tithes to the priests and prophets to the Most High, we make sure that you're never hungry, man. We make sure that you're not out on these streets, homeless. We make sure that, you know, you have somewhere you can go. You have people you can fall back on, man. There is
That's right.
brotherhood in the school. But brotherhood, you know, listen, man, brotherhood is expensive, man. Brotherhood ain't free. So
Mm.
that's, man, this we can't go out to camp every week. You know, the fuel costs money, man. Cost of living crisis. Why? I don't know if you've seen these fuel prices, but bringing out this truth, it costs money, man. It costs money to go out there at camp and speak every week, man. It costs money to, you know, host these feast days and have these meals, good music, good accommodation, even keeping the lights on at the school, man. These things cost. But when all of Israel, if all of Israel was to give 10% of what they had, the school would flourish, man.
That's right.
The school would be glorious, man. And it is
Mm.
glorious. The school would be even more so
Right.
if all of Israel was to give 10% to the school. Our nation would be strong, man. We'd be able to reach more people. We'd be able to help more of our poor and the fatherless and our widows. We'd be able
That's
to
right.
help more of our people, man.
Mm.
We'll be able to bring out this truth even more so. Go ahead.
Come, verse 10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat
And you
in
bring
mine
all your
house.
tithes. That 10%, you bring all your tithes, man.
Mm.
10% of every penny of any increase that you make. When you get that check in, you reserve 10% of that and you give that to the Most High, man. You give that to the priests and prophets.
Right.
You get your 10, you get your whatever money you get in. You sell a pair of shoes and you make £100. You set £10 aside of that and you reserve that for the priests and prophets of the Most High. You bring in your tithes to the storehouses, so there's meat in the Most High's house. So there's food in the Most High's house. There's enough money to do the work of the Lord, man. There's food so we can feed the poor, man. We can feed the priests and prophets on these feast days. We can feed everyone in that school, man. We can keep the lights on. We can keep going out to camp, man. We can keep streaming online and you know, even the internet bill costs money, man. We can keep streaming out to you and breaking down these precepts, man, and bringing out this word. We can keep the lights on in the school so that anyone passing by can come in and receive these breakdowns, man, receive this knowledge. You bring your tithes, you bring all your tithes into the storehouses of the Most High. Go ahead.
God. And prove me now herewith, says the Lord of hosts.
And when you
If
do that, the Most High is saying, prove me here now. Prove me now, saith the Lord, man. That if you give your tithes, the Most High won't do this, man. Go ahead.
right, God. And prove me now, says the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and
Go ahead.
pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it.
And when you give your tithes, you can prove the Lord that the Most High says that He will open up the windows of heaven, man, and He will
That's
pour out blessings. For that 10% you give to the school every month you get paid, every time you get an increase, that 10%, the Most High pours out blessings, man. He allows you to
right.
gain more. When you give that 10%, you give that freely. He allows you to get more, man. He gives you blessings. He gives you, a new job that pays more so you can give even more to the school, man.
Right.
He makes sure that you don't fall on hard times, man. He makes sure that you have brothers that you can rely on, brothers you can go to for counsel, brothers you can go to, if you need help financially, you can contact the school and we'll work something out, man. We'll make sure that you're taken care of.
That's right.
When you give these tithes freely, you receive blessings to the Most High. And it says, blessings that there should not be room enough to receive it. When you give your 10%, you give your tithe, and you keep all these laws, statutes, and commandments, you receive so many blessings from the Most High. There's not enough room to receive it, man.
Mm-hmm.
When we receive the kingdom of heaven, from this work that we've done, and what we've endured in this truth. That kingdom of heaven will the blessings that we receive when we're ruling, when we're on top, and the riches that we'll have, the land that we'll have, man, is more than we
Mm-hmm.
can even fathom in this time. Because we're under
Right.
this oppressor, and he gives us the crumbs. He gives us the
Mm-hmm.
crumbs of what he has. But when we're in power, when we're ruling over this entire earth, the blessings that we will receive, we can't even picture it now. Because all we know is the hood and the projects. All we know is the slums and the ghettos of every country you find blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians.
Mm.
But when we're in rulership, when we receive the kingdom of heaven, and we receive these blessings, it'll be more than we can even imagine, man.
Right.
We won't even know what to do with it. It'll be more than we're ready to hold. It'll be more than we're ready to deal with, man. But the Most High promises that unto us. We keep these laws, statutes, commandments. We pay our tithes. We help bring out this truth. We help build our nation. We help push this truth forward, man. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes,
And the
and he
Most High
shall.
says he will rebuke the devourer for our sakes, for the sakes of his children that follow him, that keep these laws, statutes, commandments. He will rebuke the devourer. He will
That's right.
rebuke our oppressor, man.
Mm.
He will punish that oppressor for all the wickedness he does unto us, man.
Mm-hmm.
Last hired and first fired.
Mm.
Knees on our neck, man, by this oppressive police force. He will punish the devourer for slaying us in these streets, man, and
Mm-hmm.
keeping us poor, man, and putting drugs and guns in our neighborhoods, and putting up
That's
abortion
right.
clinics in our neighborhoods.
Right.
That devourer that seeks to destroy you and seeks to kill you and seeks to keep you down, seeks to
Mm.
only use you for his gain, man.
Mm-hmm.
That devourer, that oppressor, the Most High will rebuke him for your sakes. When you pay your tithes, when you keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and you give to your people, man. When you give to the priests and prophets of the Most High, you're giving to your people. Think about how when you came into the UPK or when you came into the school, and how it helped to change your life, and the thing that the breakdowns that we give, the knowledge, the wisdom that we give out freely. You want that to reach more and more people, man. And that when you give tithes, you're helping that endeavor. You're helping that to reach more and more people, so we can bring more into this fold. We can give the good news to more and more people, man. Go ahead.
Verse 11 again. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground,
And when the Most
neither.
High rebukes this devourer, he won't be able to destroy the fruits of our ground, man. He won't be able to, fire us so easily. Most High will make sure that he'll rebuke the devourer, so he can't just fire you for everything, or he can't just take from you when there's no one to protect you.
Right.
He'll make sure that you receive blessings where you can if he tries to fire you, you can fight that. School will give you advice on how to fight that, how you can combat that. They can't just fire you for no reason. You can do a discrimination lawsuit against them, man. If you have
Right.
wisdom and you know how to do things, but a lot of our people don't know these avenues. Notice how these other nations, they don't get fired so easily. They don't suffer the same issues with jobs and things like that we go through, because they know how to work the system, man. And in the
That's
school, we
right.
know how to work the system. So when we pay your tithes, you can come and get advice for us on us, man. When you're having problems with your oppressor, with your slave master, you come to the school and get some advice, man. And we'll show you how to deal with that. That's how the Most High protects the devourer from eating up your field, man.
That's
From
right.
destroying the fruits of your ground. Go ahead.
Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, says the Lord of hosts.
And of course, it gives farming analogies, because Israel was a nation of farmers. There's lots of
That's right.
farmland, harvesting animals, breeding animals, harvesting crops. And Most High says your vine won't cast its fruit before its time. Meaning meaning you won't just lose part of your harvest by, you know, part of the fruits dropping off too early or dropping off too late. Well, not really too late because you'd harvest it before the time, but you will get more yield. You'll get more yield for the stuff that you're planting. The Most High will make sure what you're sowing, you will yield more. Go ahead.
Yeah, verse 12. And all nations shall call you blessed,
And
for
all these other
ye.
nations, all these other nations will call us blessed, man. Because when you keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and you receive these blessings, until the nations take heed of that. They take heed when black people ain't fired so easily no more, man. They take heed when black people aren't living paycheck to paycheck, and we are killing each other in these streets. We are aborting our babies, man.
Right.
These nations take heed of that when they see our nation rising up. When they see our nation rising up in the wisdom of the Most High, keeping these law, statutes, commandments, they will call us blessed, man. They will call us a
That's right.
great and a wise nation. Go ahead.
God. For ye shall be a delightsome land, says the Lord of hosts.
Because our land will be delightful to be in, man. All these other nations would wish that they dwelled with us, man.
Right.
Because even when they're in the land, they ain't treated as good as our people are treated, but they're treated good, man. These other nations, there's all sorts going on in their cities currently. All sorts of wars and extortion and all sorts of things that they ain't, the poor in them cities ain't living good, man. They get oppressed. The rich oppress the poor, but they'll see how we're living, how we treat our brothers, and they'll see that it's a delightful land, man. It's a delightsome land when we dwell together in brotherhood, man, in unity. When we're one, we don't oppress our poor, man. We don't oppress the fatherless and the widows. We look after each other. We're all aiming for one goal, man. We all have one mind. We're striving to that one goal. Keep building our nation, man.
That's
and make
right.
sure that our people are strong. Make sure our people aren't on them streets, man. Go ahead. Or was that verse 12?
That was 12, Khan, yeah.
Come on. You could get me Book of Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. I'll make sure.
Yeah. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed.
You truly tithe the increase of all your seed, man. Some individualites or fake Israelites will tell you, it's just corn and wine, man. Our people ain't got no corn and wine, so we aren't supposed to give tithes, man.
Right.
The Bible says you give tithes of all your seed, man. I mean, in that day, we're farmers. You give tithes of everything. You give tithes of your grapes. You give tithes of, your harvest, your corn, your wheat. You would give tithes of all the things you planted, your carrots, potatoes. You give tithes of all that, not just corn and wine, man. You
Right.
give tithes of your animals. Okay, go ahead.
Salakia, yeah, and when the precept to that tithes of all is where where Melchizedek met Abraham, or Abraham met Melchizedek, and he gave him tithes of all. So there's no seed in there, or sowing harvest from the field in particular, because he's just defending Lot and took the tithe and took the spoil, and he gave tithes of all. So you understand, it's whatever percentage of what the Lord bless you with, man, as you rightfully, as you're saying as well, right?
That's right.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Verse, Salakia. So yeah, 22 again. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year.
And when you tithe, when you give 10% of all this, the seed of your field, your crops will increase year by year, man.
That's right.
You don't need to worry about, I got rent to pay, I got the new Jordans are coming out. I need them shoes, man. I need that new console, man. I need that PS5, the Xbox. Listen, man. I need that 10%. Nah, when you hold by that 10%, your field, the seed of your fields don't yield the same. But when you give that willingly, you get back what you've given, man. You get blessings from the Most High, man.
Right.
And it will make sure that your field increases. Go ahead.
Go on, verse 23. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there.
And when in this time, and everyone, this is a celebration, which explains of the spirit of tithes. So this is a celebration where, in this time of the year, all the nations would bring 10%, and they'd all gather together, and they would all feast. So when you bring your 10% of all the seed of your field, the Most High, you ate that before the Most High. You ate that with the priest. It would be a big feast where you'd all eat, you'd all gather together, and you'd all eat this 10%. Go ahead.
God. And the tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and the firstlings of thy herds, and of thy flocks.
So it gave examples, it gave examples of, people who plant corn, they bring corn, man, your corn, your wine, the firstlings of your flocks, your animals, the herd of your flock. So, sheep, cows, chicken, whatever you were, whatever flocks you had, whatever herds you had, as long as it was clean, you bring that down. You bring that to the congregation, man. You bring that to where the Lord chose. You would all feast, man. Go ahead.
God. That thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always.
And when you give tithes, when you give that 10%, it's not easy to part with that 10%, man.
Right.
It shows that you fear the Most High. It shows that you respect the Most High, and you know where that came from. You know where that increase came from, man. That increase, that paycheck, it ain't of you. It comes from the Most High, man. The Most High has allowed you to get that job and get that paycheck. So you give back that 10%. The Most High has allowed you to, get that house, and you can now sell that house and get a profit. So you give that 10%, man. You give 10% of the profit, man. The Most High allowed you to get these things. He's blessed you with these things. So you give that back freely. So you show the Most High. You say, listen, man, I know you've blessed me with this. I'm going to give back, man. Go ahead.
Okay. 21st, 24. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there.
So if it's a situation where, the place where everyone's gathering is too far from you, it's too long of a journey that you can't bring, you can't go ahead and bring everything on this journey. It might spoil, or it might, it's too heavy for you to carry. You can't bring everything that far, man. You don't have the facilities to bring it. It will spoil, or it'll go bad, or you just simply can't carry it. Go ahead.
Come. Which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name there. When the Lord thy God has blessed thee, verse 25, then shalt thou turn it into money and
So
bind up.
If the journey is too long, or it's too heavy to bring it down into the place where the Most High has chosen to have that congregation, to have that celebration, that feast, then what you have, that 10%, you sell that and you turn it into money.
That's
You
right.
bring that money to that city. Go ahead.
God, turn
Listen.
it into money. Salakia.
Go ahead.
God, turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Verse
You,
26.
you bind up that money in your hand, man. You take that money. You take that pouch of money into the city where the Most High has chosen, man. Go ahead.
Right. Verse 26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after.
And
For
when you reach that city, you use that 10%. You don't just turn up empty-handed because the journey is too far, or you couldn't bring it. You don't just turn up empty-handed. You bring your money to that city, and when you reach that city, you purchase whatever your soul lusteth after, man. Whatever you want to
right.
purchase of that, you use that 10%, that money that you got, and you purchase what it is that you want to bring to the feast, man. You purchase what it is that you want to bring to the congregation. You want to bring to the feast. Go ahead.
God, for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth.
And you go ahead and buy, ox, sheep, wine, corn. You bring whatever your soul desires to bring to that feast. You buy it with that money and you bring it to the feast, man. You don't show up
That's
empty-handed to the Most High. You don't decide to just, okay, well, it's too far, so I'm just gonna keep it. Maybe next year it'll be closer and I'll bring it then. Nah, man. You give your 10%. You don't steal from the Most High because it's inconvenient.
right.
You make it happen, man. You sell what you have. You go ahead to that city. You buy. You bring it to the feast. Go ahead.
God, whatsoever thy soul lusteth, and thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household.
And you eat. You eat that ox, man. You drink that wine. You have a
Mm,
good time, man. You rejoice.
that's right.
This is a feast of the Lord, man.
Yes. God.
It's a celebration for all Israel to gather together. That 10%. You gather together. You have a feast. You enjoy yourself, man. So everyone can eat. Everyone can enjoy of what the Most High has given you. And you and your entire household, man. You eat that and you rejoice. Go ahead.
God, verse 27. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he has no part nor inheritance with thee. Verse
And the
20.
Levites, the priests, that is in your gates. You don't forsake him, man. You don't, bring your 10% and just hoard it to yourself. You share that with the Levites, man. You give that
That's
unto the
right.
priest. You make sure everyone eats. Make sure everyone gets to eat at this feast.
Mm.
Everyone can partake in this. Go ahead.
Go on, verse 28. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithes of thine increase in the same year,
Mm-hmm.
and shalt lay it up within thy gates.
So with this celebration, after 3 years, everyone will gather together and bring forth the tithe of their increase. Bring forth that 10%, and they'd all have a feast, and they laid it up within their gates. They laid it up, so everyone gathered together what they had, and they had a big feast, man. Go ahead.
Come on, verse 29. And the Levites, because he has no part nor inheritance with thee, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come.
And everybody enjoyed in that feast, man. From the
Right.
people that brought, the most, they had the most, so they brought the most, that 10%. And the people that had very little, man, but they still brought 10%. They all
That's
joined
right.
that together, and everyone ate, man. The Levites, they didn't have an inheritance. The strangers within their gates, they're sojourning from a strange land. They don't have, farmland in the city, so they couldn't bring as much. They didn't bring in as much with that 10%. They still enjoy, man. The fatherless, those that don't have a father, you know, you don't have they might not have as much as someone who, you'll have a father because you'll have farmland, you'll have things that pass down from generation to generation. Someone who's fatherless might not have as much as the average person. The widow, those that don't have a husband, the same kind of situation, they might not have as much. Listen, everybody enjoys in that feast, man. Whether you're poor, you're rich, everyone enjoys and rejoices.
Right.
This ain't the Christian church, man. It ain't just only the rich can rejoice, man. And the poor live struggling. This is a celebration that shows how much we cared for our people, man. Shows the brotherhood of the nation of Israel. Where you all bring 10%, no matter how great or how little, and you all enjoy that feast.
That's right.
Go ahead.
God, within thy gates shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the works of thine hand, which thou doest.
And all these people, the poor, the rich, the widow, the fatherless, the stranger, the Levites, everybody came to this congregation, man. Everybody ate and was satisfied. They had their bellies full, man. And because everybody brought their tithe, that 10% that belongs to the Most High blessed them in all their work, in all the
Right.
work that they put their hand to do. The Most High blesses you when you give that 10%, man.
That's
Most
right.
High blesses you when you pay them tithes. If you could get me the book of Deuteronomy 24 and verse 19, Baba Shah.
Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 19. When thou cuttest down thine harvest in thy field, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, God, thou shalt not go again to fetch it.
So
It
when you
shall
cut down your harvest, when it's ready to, reap the harvest, you go in the field, you get whatever, you go back to the storehouse or wherever you go to store it, and you remember, oh, you've forgotten a little patch, or you forgot one sheaf, you forgot a little piece. You don't need to go back for that, man.
right.
You leave that there because you've gathered the majority of your harvest. You're content. You have as much as you need. You brought it to the storehouse. You don't need to go back for that one sheaf. You don't need to get every single last grain of that wheat, man. Every single
Right.
last ear of that corn.
Mm.
Every single grape, but not that grapevine. You don't need every single one, man.
Mm.
You can leave that there. Let's see who we leave it to, man. Let's see why we leave it there. Who we leave it for. Go ahead.
Mm. God, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow,
And
that the Lord.
and you leave that there. You leave that sheaf there, so that the stranger, the fatherless, the widow, they can eat of that, man. Those that are poor among your nation, they can enjoy that. You got your harvest. Let them get a little. They can have something that they can get. They're not just left to fend for themselves in these streets. They've got nothing to eat. They're going hungry. They got no, nothing they can do. No one's giving to them. No, man, they
Right.
have something. They have somewhere they can go. They know that, in every city where their people are, they know that there's some food that they can eat, man.
That's right.
And think of that. Think of how, not everyone in our nation is so fortunate. There's some poor in our nation, but if you're poor, just think about how much stronger you'd feel that where your people dwell, where there's Israelites, there's always somewhere you can eat, man. There's always somewhere you can go to get food. You're not just left to fend for yourself and to starve and to go bed hungry. There's always something you can eat, man.
That's
Even
right.
the poor, of our nation have that security, have that strength in them. They can have some pride where they don't have to, go out and beg on these streets, man. They know that their brothers will take care of them. They know that they have, their people love them, man. Go ahead.
That's right. That the Lord thy God may bless thee in all the work of thine hands.
That's right, man. When you leave that sheaf, when you leave some for the poor and the fatherless and the stranger and the widow, the Most High blesses you, man. He sees that. He sees that you're not just greedy. You don't glean everything, man. You don't take every single thing. Don't leave nothing for nobody. And you just get that money. You just get that wheat, that food, and you hold it to yourself. He sees that you're not like that, man. He sees that you're a brother that cares for his people and will make sure that the fatherless and the poor have something to eat, man. He sees that and he blesses you for that.
That's
Go ahead.
right. Yeah. Verse 20. When thou beatest thine olive tree, thou shalt not go over the boughs again.
And it's the same thing, man, with the olives. If you have an olive tree and you go ahead and beat it so that the olives fall,
right,
and you collect those olives, and you see, oh, there's one olive left, man. Oh, I see one olive left. You don't go around and beat it again so that one olive falls.
right.
You leave that there for your brethren, man. You leave that again for the poor of your people so they can get some olives. They can get some olives too, man. They can eat. They can get some olive oil and anoint their face.
That's right.
Go ahead.
God, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
That's right, man. And this spirit, these laws, is the same spirit of tithing, man. Where you give to your people, you give to the priests that do the work of the Lord and help the poor of your people and help all of your people, man. And the Most High blesses you for that. Most High blesses you when you give. Most High gives back unto you. And you give what's required of the Most High. Go ahead.
God, verse 21. When thou gatherest the grapes of thine vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterward.
And the same thing, man. When you gather the grapes of your vineyard, you don't go back and you don't double back and make sure you got every single last grape, man. Leave that. Make the poor, make them get some more grapes, man. Let them eat of your harvest also. Let them get some food. Make sure they can eat and they ain't left with their bellies, with their belly button touching their back, man. Go ahead.
God, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
That's right. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt.
And you do these things, why? Why do you leave some for the poor? Why do you give your 10%? You do these things because you remember that at one time you was poor, man. You was oppressed too. Our whole nation was oppressed in Egypt. They were abused. They were treated bad. They were left to fend for themselves. They weren't getting no 10% from nobody, man.
That's right.
You remember that. You remember that pressure. You remember that harsh bondage and how hard it is to be poor and to be, under an oppressor. To not have of your own, to not have land of your own, food of your own. You remember that condition. And you don't wish that upon your brothers, man. So you make sure that, because you remember that, because you remember that condition that your whole nation was in, you make sure that your people are taken care of. You make sure that your people don't suffer that same harsh bondage, that same, harsh hunger, man, starvation and dehydration. You make sure that your people don't go through that same thing. Is that the end of that verse?
There's a bit more, but I wanted to say as well, man. Like,
go ahead.
There's a song what says, in the street there's a richest spice, but it says in the street is getting hot and the youths is getting cold. Searching for food for the pot. They'll do anything to fill the gap, man. You understand now? And there's another one, Salakia. The actual one I wanted was a 10-year-old having to seek for their own tea bread, it says, right? Which is your food, man. You have to seek. A 10-year-old has to hustle by themselves to find something to put in their bellies. And this is what the Lord is trying to avoid. You understand, when we give our tithes and offerings to the right place into the ISUPK, man. Why? Because the Christian church has been robbing our people. You understand? But yeah, that all I want to point out is this, man. You know, and we all, most, you know, Caribbean people grown up in that situation as well, man. We know that, man. We know the feeling. You understand? And now we're reading the Bible and it's showing us why we're going through it, because we ain't keeping the laws, man. And not just that, but you know, we should give to our tithes for the widows, man, for the fatherless, and for the strangers, man.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So yeah, this is our heritage, man. Salakia, just yeah, you
No,
know
that's
what I
right.
mean?
What the other one brought out was heavy because in
Mm,
every single nation, every single society knows that poverty breeds crime. When you're
right,
poor and you
right.
know there's no one that can help you, there's nothing you can do to support you. What will you do, man? You'll go ahead and steal to get what you need. You'll go ahead and take a brother or sister's life and take what they have
Mm,
because we need it, man. We're all humans, man. We need food to live, man. We need these things.
mm,
So when you just hoard to yourself all that you have and don't give anything for the poor, don't leave any grapes, don't leave any corn so that the poor can eat also. That breeds crime, man.
right.
It brings crime because it puts them in a situation where they have no other choice, man. They have
Mm,
no other choice but to murder you and take what you've got, man.
mm,
But because you love your brothers and you don't want them in that position. You don't want them to have to steal and have to break the laws in order to survive. You care for your
mm-hmm.
brothers, man. You give your 10%. You give your time.
That's
You
right.
help your people out, man.
Mm,
You help these food drives and when we go out to other countries and help our poor brothers, man. You help those things to continue. So our people don't live in this never-ending cycle of poverty and needing to
mm-hmm.
kill and steal to survive, man.
Right.
And some of our sisters having to feel like they have to sell their bodies, man.
Mm-hmm.
Not also. When you're in
Right.
poverty, you'll do anything you can do, man. Morality and laws don't mean nothing to you, man, if you can't fill your belly. It don't mean nothing to you if you can't, you don't have no money to survive, man. You'll literally do
Mm,
anything. And black man, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, if you don't want to see your people in this position, if you don't want these
mm-hmm.
curses to continue, you give your 10%, man. You give to the
That's
poor.
right. Mm-hmm.
You give your tithes to the ISUPK, and we will help your people, man. We'll make sure they don't have to do these things to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Come. Therefore, I command thee to do this thing.
And the Most High commands you to
That's
give
right.
your tithes. He commands you to not glean every single thing of your harvest, man.
Mm,
He commands you to leave something for the poor, leave something for your brothers and sisters that aren't so fortunate. It's a commandment, man. That's the
right.
spirit of brotherhood that's in these laws, man. That's how you build a strong nation where the poor, that would reduce crime by infinite amounts, man.
Right.
Where your brothers know that they don't have to commit crimes in order to survive. They have brothers and sisters that care for them and will look after them and will leave some for them. They have the ISUPK that will those free drives, make sure that they can eat, man. Have a place to go where they can eat. Have a place to go where they can get advice and get some counsel on how to change, how to fix their lives, man. The Most High commands us to do these things to build our nation, to make our nation strong, man. Not just care for the rich and make their pockets even fatter, but to make sure that everyone can live with some level of comfort and some level of pride in knowing that
Mm,
they don't have to do all these things. They don't have to sin. They don't have to go out and gangbang or prostitute themselves or do all these wicked things just to survive, man. Go ahead. Oh, that didn't look.
oh, God, that was that on 22, yeah.
Come on. If you could get me Luke chapter 12 and verse 15, Baba Kishar.
Come. Luke chapter 12, verse 15. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness.
And who's this speaking? Is this Christ speaking?
Khan, yeah.
Christ said, take heed and beware of covetousness. Take heed and beware of yourself that you're not coveting what your brother has. And take heed and beware of those that covet what you have. Take heed of that. Beware of that. Go ahead.
Khan, take heed, Salakia. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of the things which he possesses.
Because a man's life, the value of a man, it ain't just how much you have, man. It ain't just how much money you have, how big your house is, how fast your car is. It ain't just the abundance of things, man. It ain't, how fat your pockets are, how many stacks you've racked up, how many women you got. It ain't just those things, man.
Right.
Those things don't value a man. Go ahead.
Khan, verse 16. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, the ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. Verse 17.
Christ speaks a parable of a man where this man owned some land, and this land brought forth fruits and brought forth crops plentifully. He had abundance of crops and abundance of fruit. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do? Because I have no room where to bestow my fruits.
And this land was so plentiful, brought forth so much fruits that he was running out of room to even store it. He was gathering he was gathering it, reaping his harvest, and he was running out of room to store it, man. He was thinking to himself, where am I going to put all this extra stuff? Where am I going to put this excess? I've got no more room to store it, man. What should I do with it? Go ahead.
Verse 18. And he said, this will I do.
This is what I'm going to do. This is what I've decided to do. Go ahead.
I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruit and my goods.
So he said, there's not enough room to store all this fruits and all these crops, all these goods that I have. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tear down the barns that I have. I'm going to build bigger barns so I can store every last crop, every last grape, every last olive, every last sheaf. I'm going to store every last bit of it in these storehouses, man, in these barns. He ain't going to leave nothing to the poor. Listen, man, this man, instead of thinking, I have so much that I can't even store it, man. This barn is full, and this barn is, listen, man, if the barn is full, I've got as much as I need to survive the winter, as much as I need to live the year.
Right.
Instead of thinking all this excess, you know what, I'm gonna give this to the priest, man. Or I'm gonna leave it in the field so that the strangers, the poor, the fatherless, the widows can eat, man. To those that don't have a land as plentiful as mine, those that don't have no inheritance, don't have the riches that I have, they can eat, they can be good. He said, nah, man, I want every last bit of this. I'm gonna tear down the barns that I have, which was built to store as much as I need. I'm gonna build bigger barns. And that's how this oppressor operates, man. That's how this damn oppressor operates. Right. He don't leave nothing in that field, man. The way he farms, he don't leave nothing. He don't even leave anything for the land to replenish itself, let alone leaving nothing. That's why wherever this oppressor farms, after a while that land becomes infertile, man. That's why he needed to, genetically modify all these fruits and come up with all this fertilizer and all these different ways where they can get more and more and more. Because of their greed and their wicked spirit, they don't know how to leave anything so that even the land itself can replenish itself, let alone, give some to the poor, man. Nah, this oppressor wants every last penny.
Mm-hmm.
Every last crop, every last gram of vegetables, he can get some money for that, man. And Christ is giving this parable to tell us not to be like that. Don't be like this oppressor. Don't be like this rich man who had this plentiful land and just wanted everything, man. Just hoarding everything to
Mm-hmm.
himself, built bigger barns to make sure he can store all that. You leave some for your people, man. You give your 10% to the priest, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 19. And I will say to my soul, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry.
So this man's gathered all this stuff, made his barns bigger so he can hoard everything, man. And this is what he's going to say to his soul. He's telling his soul to take ease because, you've laid up, you got all this food, you can survive for many years.
Mm.
It ain't just 1 year, you can survive many years on all this food, man. You take your, telling his soul to take his ease, drink and be merry. But why does he have to tell himself that? Why can't he just drink and be merry? He has everything he needs. Why can't he just drink and be merry? Because he has no brotherhood. He has no ease. Really, he's so greedy and he just wants and wants and wants that his mind has no ease. So he has to tell himself to drink.
Mm.
He has to tell himself to be merry.
Mm-hmm.
This man thinks that happiness and his value, his value of life comes from the abundance of things. But really, he's not happy, man.
That's
He's
right.
hoarding he has all this food, he has all this wealth, but he's not happy. He has to try and convince himself to drink and enjoy what he has. Because he has more than he needs, man. And he don't know what to do with it. His value isn't just money. But everyone knows, there's all these rich celebrities that have billions of dollars, billions of pounds, and they end up committing suicide, man. Why?
Right.
Because there's no value in just having money.
Mm.
There's no value in just having the fancy cars and the nice house, man.
Mm.
The value comes from brotherhood. The value comes from being well respected and well loved, man. That's how you have value of life. When you can
Mm.
take care of the people you need to take care of, you don't just hoard everything to yourself. You have more than you could ever think to spend, man. What does it benefit you to have more? Just have more and store it. You don't even live long enough to be able to spend all of it. That's not how you gain happiness. That's not how you become merry, man. You give to your people. You leave some so they can enjoy what you have as well. They can enjoy your incredible wealth. The rich of Israel that refuse to give to the school. We say this in our prayers, man. Every Sabbath class.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Refuse to give to the school. And they think that's going to make them happy, but they're not happy doing that.
Mm.
You give to the school. The rich of Israel, you give your tithe, man. You give 10% of, listen, all that money to water, man. Think of how many brothers and sisters you've helped with that money, man. With that tithe money. Instead of holding it to yourself and you still ain't happy.
Mm.
You give that money to the ICPK, man. You give that 10% to the priests and prophets of the Most High. And you give to your people, man. You share with your people, as the sister just said, man. You think having everything make you happy? Listen, man. Having people are social creatures. Humans are social creatures. We thrive off the respect and love of other people, man.
Mm.
We thrive of acting moral, being righteous. We thrive when we do these things, when we give to the poor, when we give our tithes. The Most High blesses us. The Most High gives us happiness. He gives us peace of mind.
Mm.
He will give us more abundance so we can give more freely. And I'm going to get into a scripture later on where, it shows us the value of giving. People think that, they're just trying to get rich and they're going to get happy by just hoarding. But really, the real value is in giving, man. No point in having all this money if you don't do anything with it, if you don't do anything meaningful with it. You just drive, you have the Lamborghini, you're stuck in that same traffic as everyone else, man.
That's right.
You have that nice house, that big mansion, but when it's a drought and when it's a flood, you're suffering like everybody else, man.
That's right.
The value isn't in the abundance of things. It isn't in having these things. It's being able to do meaningful things, impactful things, having the respect of your people, man. Go ahead.
God. So like, where am I at? 19? I'm at 20. 20, verse 20. But God said unto him, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then
And
whose,
go ahead.
God, then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided?
Right. So the Most High seen this man, seeing how he was just hoarding everything into himself, gleaning his field, gleaning his vineyards, going around that olive bowls, double time, man. Getting every last sheaf of that wheat, storing everything in his storehouses. And he says, okay, well, this night I require your life of you. Most High took
Right.
this man's life. And then who's going to be that will inherit all that you have, all that you've stored? What's going to happen to it, man? You can't enjoy that when you're dead. So all this money you've hoarded up, all this food, these harvests you've stored up, you don't enjoy it when you die. And you barely enjoyed it when you were alive, man. You had to tell yourself to be happy.
Right.
So what was the point in just hoarding everything? There really wasn't. You thought it was going to make you happy, but it really didn't. You thought there was joy and there was value in that, but there really wasn't. And that's the parable that Yahushua told to his disciples, man. Go ahead.
God, those things. So like, just read for me. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? Verse 21. So he that layeth up treasure for himself and is not rich towards God.
So he says, so is he that layeth up treasure for himself, that just hoards money to himself and it isn't rich with God, man.
Right.
You don't have any brotherhood. You're not rich with the Most High. You don't have no reward for you reserved in heaven, man. Reserved in the kingdom of heaven. You just hoarded to yourself and had no brotherhood, had no charity, no care, no regard for anyone else, no regard for the stranger, the poor, no regard for giving anything to the priests. And this man didn't give him his 10%. I ain't read, and this man thought to himself, I'm gonna give my tithes, I'm gonna pay my 10%, I'm gonna leave some in the field, man. He says he wants everything. He wants a new J's, new car, mansion, the watch, the I don't know, what else do people buy, man? Suits, fancy suits and shoes and Supreme designer, all this designer clothes. He wants all that, man. When he dies, what happens to it? It just goes to other people.
Right.
And you did nothing meaningful. You did nothing. Who's gonna remember you? Oh, there was a guy who had all this stuff. You're dead now. You don't have it no more. You did nothing meaningful. No one respects you simply for having things. Your life ain't valued. Your life don't go in the history books for having things and hoarding everything to yourself. Go ahead.
God, verse 22. And he said unto his disciples, Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, neither for the body, what ye shall put on.
And therefore Christ said unto his disciples, take no heed for your life. Meaning, don't put your life above this truth, man. Above keeping the Lord's statutes, commandments. Don't put doing whatever you want to do, and don't put driving the latest Benz over serving the Most High and over paying tithes and over being charitable. Don't let all these things that your flesh desires you to do cause you to be tight-fisted and hold back and not give what you're meant to give, man. Don't cause your worrying about your life to cause you to steal from the Most High, man. Rob the Most High. Take no heed for food and clothing, man, what the body should put on. Because the Most High will make sure that you're provided for. You don't need to hold back that 10% because you're worried about what you're gonna eat. The Most High will make sure that you're provided for, but you give that willingly, and then the Most High will give you blessings. You don't hold that back, worried and doubting. You trust in the Most High, man. You give that willingly. You trust in the Most High. The Most High will provide. You'll be provided for. When you need support, when you fall in hard times, there's a place where you can go, man. Where you've been paying tithes for years, man. And the time that tithe money is there so that people in need can go and get help. So you've been paying tithes for years, and the time where you need help, there's a place where you can go, man. You go to the ICPK, you go to Commanding General Yohana, man. You go to the ICPK through Commanding General Yohana, and you get that help, man. It's your time of need now. And you can get that help. Go ahead.
God, 20, finish 22. So lucky one sec. Oh, she put on Khan 23. The life is more than meat, and the body is more than raiment.
Because your life is more than just having enough food to eat and eating and sleeping. The life is more than just whatever you wear, whether it's Primark clothes, hand-me-downs, whether it's designer. The life is more than that. It's more than whether you're, buying the store brand stuff or buying the name brand stuff, man, or going out at Nobu and Salt Bay's restaurant and eating all this food that costs ridiculous amounts of money. Life is more than that.
Right.
Life is more than food and clothes. Go ahead.
God. 24. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouse nor barns, and God feedeth them. How much more are ye better than the fowls?
And consider birds, man. Consider the ravens. They don't have storehouses. They don't have farmland. But the Most High takes care of them. Most High makes sure that they have enough to eat, man. You don't see a raven. Notice how you've never really seen like a bird starving. You never see him thin and mager. The Most High provides for them, man. Most High makes sure they have enough to eat. They don't have no storehouses, no barns. But the Most High makes sure them worms come up in the ground and they have enough to eat, man. Them bugs, them insects, that corn, whatever it is that they eat, the grain, make sure that they have enough to eat. And how much more will the Most High care for his chosen people, man? The chosen people of Israel that need birds. How much more will he care for you? Make sure you have enough to eat. And the sister just asked me a question. If you're paying tithes, is it wrong to treat yourself too? It is not wrong to treat yourself. If you're paying tithes, you pay your 10%, and you have some money left over and you want to treat yourself, you treat yourself, man. You have enough, treat yourself. Enjoy yourself. Know what you have.
Right.
Don't let treating yourself cause you to hold back your tithes.
Yeah.
Don't say, oh, I got a nice check-in today and I got a nice check-in this month and I want to treat myself. I want to go on a fancy holiday, but I need that 10%, man. Let me just not give it this month. I'm gonna treat myself, and then I'll carry on. I'll do it next month. I'll pay it next month. But I want to treat myself this month. You don't do that. You pay your tithes, and the money you have left over, you do with that as you wish. You treat yourself. Make sure you have, the food you want, the clothes you want. You treat yourself, man. Most I don't want you to, not enjoy what you have. He gave you that. He blessed you with that. But you give back to him. You give back that 10%. And then the rest that he's blessed you with, you enjoy that, man. You live it up, man. Enjoy your life. Be merry. But you don't need to tell yourself to be merry. Because you're doing what's right. Okay, go ahead and read on.
God. What was that? Consider Khan. Uh,
Yes.
24, innit?
Verse
Consider
20, verse 25. So
Khan,
you read
yeah.
the ravens, Khan.
Fouls, right. Got Khan, man. Verse 25. And which of you with taking thoughts can add to his stature 1 cubit?
And think, which one of you, which one of us can just, I wish I was taller, man. I wish I was 1 cubit taller and just make it happen. Which of you can just, wish and think, I wish I was a millionaire and a billionaire and just make it happen?
Right.
Which of you can just wish you had all the designer and wish you was, super fly and just make it happen? You can't make that happen. You don't have the power. Only the Most High has that power, man. Most High has the power to give blessings as he sees fit, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
Khan, verse 26. If ye then be not able to do that thing which is the least, why take ye thoughts for the rest?
And if you're not able to just think and add a cubit to your height, I want to be 6'5". I can't just click and make that happen. I can't, that something like that is the least thing to the Most High. The Most High has the power to do whatever he wants to do. Most High could make me, I'm near 7 foot, man. But I can't do that. So what's the point in taking thought in these things? Taking thought in, I wish I was taller, or, I wish I had the designer clothes, or what I'm going to eat, man. Thinking about, if you're struggling to eat or pay for clothes, so you think that, by holding back your tithes, it's going to help those things. It's not, man. You can't make yourself rich. You can't make yourself have, good clothes and good food. You can't do that. The Most High has the power to do that. The Most High chooses who he gives blessings to and who he takes from. So whatever situation you're in, whether you're rich, you're poor, you give your 10%, man. You pay your tithes, and the Most High will give you blessings. The Most High will make sure you have food to eat and clothes to wear. Go ahead.
God. Verse 27. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not.
Go ahead.
They toil not. They spin not. And yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these.
And he gives the example of the Most High's favorite flower, man, the lily. Lilies don't work, they don't toil. They don't till their own soil and turn it over and then make sure the fresh dirt is on the top.
Right.
Somehow, they're arrayed in this beautiful clothing, man. Those petals, they bloom and they look beautiful, man. They look beautiful to the Most High. Most High says even Solomon, who was the richest in all of Israel, man, the wisest king, even Solomon wasn't as pleasing to the Lord in the way he was dressed as the lilies of the field are, man.
Go
ahead.
28 and 28. If then God so clothe the grass, which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye little faith?
And so
O ye of little faith,
and so if God will clothe the grass, if God will make the flowers bloom and make the grass look pretty, something that, in one day it can be looking so glorious and so beautiful. And the next day there can be a heat stroke, everything's dried up, it can burn, it can be, lawnmower can run over that and just take it out, man, wipe it out.
Right.
Children playing can just run and trod it down, man. If God takes so much care and clothes the grass so beautifully, something that can be here one day and gone the next, destroyed the next, how much more will he take care of you, man? How much more will he make sure that you're clothed? that you're well clothed, man. That you're not, wanting for these things. You're not running around the streets naked, man. You're not, your shirt's all ripped up and you can't afford no better clothes, man. The Most High will make sure that you have clothing. He will make sure that there are brothers in this school, brothers in this truth that if you're in need, we have clothing, man. We have clothing that you can wear, man. We have, if you're hungry, you're starving on these streets, we have food that you can eat, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 29. And seek not ye what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind.
And don't just think about what you should eat or what you should drink. And don't be of a doubtful mind, man. Don't doubt the Most High. Don't doubt that the Most High will provide these things for you. The Most High will make sure that you have what you need to live. Now, you may not be driving the fanciest cars. You may not be wearing the fanciest clothes. You may not be eating Nobu and £100 for a meal. You may not be eating all this fancy stuff, but you will have what you need to live, man. Most High will make sure that you ain't starving, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 30. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and
These
your
things.
Father knoweth.
Go ahead.
Your Father, your
That's okay.
Father knoweth that ye have need of these things.
Because all these other nations, they take thought of these things. They take
Right.
thought of what they should eat, what they're going to eat, and what they're going to wear. If they have enough food, have enough money to buy the clothes they need. Because deep down they know that their God isn't real, man. They don't have the living God like we have the living God. Deep down they know that they're on their own, really and truly, they're on their own.
That's right.
We have a God. We have a higher power that will look after us if we keep His word, man. We ain't left to fend for ourselves like these other nations. And they take thought of these things, man. Your Father knows that you have need of these things. Your Father knows that you need food. He knows that you need clothes. And He'll make sure you have them. Go ahead.
God, verse 31. But 31. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God.
But rather
and
than
all things,
food, rather than seeking clothes, and just seeking money to get these things, rather than seeking that and putting that as your top priority, you seek ye first the Lord, man.
right.
You seek the ISUPK under commanding General Yohana. You seek to learn these scriptures, man, to learn these law, statutes, commandments. You seek to first pay your tithes, and then think of what you want to do with the rest of your money. You pay your tithes, and then you treat yourself. You seek ye the Lord first. Go ahead.
John, verse 31 again. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added unto you.
And all these things, the food, the clothes, all these things will be added unto you anyway. The Most High will make sure that you have these things. He will bless you with these things. So don't prioritize what you're gonna eat, what you're gonna wear, having the new shoes, the new J's, the fastest car, Lambo, mansion, designer clothes, the new console. Don't seek those things over seeking the righteousness of God, man. Over seeking the ISGPK, man. And you make sure you pay your tithes. You make sure you pay that 10% of any increase that you make, man. And the rest, the Most High will give unto you. He'll make sure that you're not starving. You will not starve from paying tithes. Because people will think that if they give 10%, they won't have enough. They won't have enough to eat, man. Listen, having good money management isn't the same as not having enough. You will have enough for what you need. If you manage your money correctly, you will have enough. The Most High don't ask for 50%. He don't ask for 30%. Most High asks for 10%. And that 90%, the rest that you have is enough to get you by, man. It's enough that you can live comfortably. And if you find yourself falling on hard times, you contact the school and we'll see what we can do to help you, man. But you have that support. But the first things first, you need to pay your tithes, man. Don't hold that back thinking, if I give this, I'm not going to be able to, do what I want to do. You pay your tithes. You seek ye the Lord first, man. You seek the kingdom first, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 32. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
And don't fear, because it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Those who keep his laws, statutes, commandments, he takes pleasure in giving you blessings, man. He takes pleasure in making sure that you're good, man. He takes pleasure in giving you the kingdom of heaven, of rewarding you for your good works, of rewarding you for being a good servant. He won't cause you, if you're serving him and you're keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and you're doing right by him, he won't cause you to be broke and homeless on the street. He won't cause you to starve in your home. He takes pleasure in giving you blessings, man, in rewarding you for your good works, in giving you the kingdom of heaven, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 33. Sell that ye have, and give alms. Provide yourselves, provide yourselves bags which wax not old.
So Christ says to sell what you have, like this man that had all this abundance of things, and instead of giving what he had back, feeding the poor, giving tithes, he just hoarded everything to himself. Instead of doing that, you sell what you have and you give alms, man. You give to the poor. You be charitable. You pay your tithes. You give to the poor, man. If you have abundance, you do all these things, and instead of you're not securing that bag, because that bag will leave as you die, man. But you secure a reward that won't wax old. You secure a bag. You secure loot, a treasure, a reward that won't fade away when you die. You reserve a reward in heaven for those good works that you do. Go ahead.
God, provide yourselves bags which wax not old, a treasure in the heavens that faileth not, where no thief approacheth, neither moth corrupteth.
And that treasure that you have reserved in heaven, when you keep the law, statutes, commandment, when you pay your tithes, when you give to the poor and to the needy, that reward that you reserve in heaven, that don't wax old. It won't fail, because the Most High has promised it unto you. And the Most High is not a man that he should lie, man.
Right.
Most High is not a man that he goes back on his promises, or he goes back on his word. And this reward in heaven, it ain't something that a thief can steal, man. If you just got a bag, you got zeros in the bank, you got stacks on stacks, and rocking around with stacks of cash in your hip, in your pockets. A thief can just go around and steal that, and you don't have that no more.
Right.
Or if you have fancy garments and designer clothes, listen, man, moths can still nyam that up, man. The same way they'll nyam a Primark t-shirt. They don't care if it's designer or Primark, man. They're still gonna munch that up, man. But that reward that you secure in heaven from doing these works, keeping these laws,
right,
it won't get corrupted. The same way, earthly possessions get corrupted or stolen. Go ahead.
And it as well. Even your money, you think your money will be safe in a bank account, man. But not Northern Rock crashed, man.
Right.
And a lot of the people didn't even get their money back, man. Imagine you got your money in a bank account thinking it's safe and sound and everything's fine, and one day they tell you there's nothing left in your account, man.
Right.
And you've been working and saving, and nothing left in your account. Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah.
And for
So,
example, if we even think of this parable, this
mhm.
man's storing all this food in his storehouses. What if all of a sudden his storehouse, his barn catches fire, man? All that
Right.
food, all that,
Mm-hmm.
all the things they stored up, it's gone, man. Could be
God.
here one day and gone the next.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has nothing to fall back on. He's broke
Mm-hmm.
now. Say
Right.
he goes to the priests and to people who would support him in dire help, and they say,
Mm.
well, what did you give, man? I've seen you had all this money. You ain't never paid your
Right.
tithes. You ain't never
God.
given alms to the poor.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we help you, man? You had no brotherhood.
Hmm. Right.
You ain't love your people. You ain't do nothing. That's that same way. You have all this money, but you don't do anything with it, man. You don't care for your people,
Exactly.
so why should your people care for you in your type of need?
Right.
If you don't do the work of the Lord and give unto the poor, give unto your people, that is doing the work of the Lord. When you give to your people, when you pay your tithes.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
If you don't give unto the Lord, why would the Lord bless you? Why would the Lord make sure that you're taken care of?
Mm.
If you ain't doing as thus saith the Lord, man. The Bible says if you don't keep these laws and commandments, he will give you curses. So most I will cause that barn to catch on fire
Mm-hmm.
and won't allow you to get no help. Because you didn't help nobody else when you was up, man. When you had that barn full of crops, when you had that bank account full of zeros, full of O's, man. You got that 6 digits in
Mm-hmm.
your account. You ain't help nobody with that. So
Right.
why should you receive help? Listen, man, you seek ye the kingdom first. Don't seek money. Don't seek riches. You seek the kingdom first, man. Do the work of the Most High. You pay your tithes. Go ahead. Where we at?
God. Verse 34. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
For where your treasure is, for what you place value in, that's where your heart will be. That's where your mind will be. If your treasure is
Mm-hmm.
money, then your heart will be on money, man. And you'll do anything to get it. You ain't gonna give it away. Why would you give it away, man? Your heart is on money. That's where your treasure is. You value money. So you'll not pay tithes and you'll not give into the poor because that's your treasure is money, man. If your treasure is the kingdom of heaven, you're not too you don't value money as much. You value the work first. The work comes first. So you ain't penny pinching when it comes to tithes, man. You pay your tithes. You ain't penny pinching when it comes to giving to the needy, man. You ain't penny pinching when it comes to coming to camp, man. When you value the work of the Lord, you'll make sure that you'll make sure that you do this work, man. And that's not to say that you know if you find yourself on hard times, that you have to make yourself poor and make yourself homeless to do this work. Nah, man. But if you can't afford to give, you can afford to it's like if you can afford if you're struggling and you're having trouble making it to a feast day or something like that, you contact the school and we'll see if we can help you. But don't just think that because you can't afford it, you're not going to try to go. You try to go. You
Right.
try to observe these feast days. You try to keep the Lord's house. I mean, it's like yeah. You try to make it to camp. You try to
Mm-hmm.
do the work. And if you're told to stand down, you're told to stand down, man. But it ain't for lack of
That's
trying.
right. Mm.
I think that was it on that. If you could get me,
Mm.
if you could get me the book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 24.
Swear. 11:24. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24. There is that scattereth and Slakia.
Mm-hmm.
There is that scattereth and yet increaseth,
So
and
there
there.
is something that scattereth. This is a parable where there is a man that scattereth, a man that gives freely. He scattereth what he has, and yet he still increases.
Right.
And yet, he's giving away what he has, and yet he's not poor.
Mm-hmm.
Giving away what he has, and yet he ain't falling on hard times, man. He ain't. he ain't paycheck to paycheck, man. He's getting back. He's getting blessings of the Most High, man. Go ahead.
Right. God. And there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but
Mhm.
it tendeth to poverty.
And there is that person that withholdeth, that holds back more than is good, more than they need to, that holds back that 10%, thinking that they need it, but they really don't. You can get by without it. But you withholdeth more than is good.
Mm,
And that tendeth to poverty, man. You think by holding that back, you're going to increase the same way that man that giveth freely increases. But you'll find when you hold that back, you'll never get out of that cycle of paycheck to paycheck, man. You'll never
right.
get out of that cycle of always struggling to pay the bills, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 25. The liberal soul shall be made fat,
Go ahead.
and he that watereth shall be watered also himself.
So the liberal soul, the soul that gives freely, shall be made
Mm,
fat, man. When you
God.
give freely, you give alms, you do the work of the Lord, you receive blessings of the Most High. Most High says to, when you give these things, prove him that he won't open up the windows of heaven and give you blessings that you can't even, you don't have enough room to hold. When
Mm,
you give freely, you give your tithes, you give alms, you become fat, man. You receive blessings. Most High gives that back unto you. And he that watereth shall be watered also himself. When you
God.
water, when you give to the school, you water the truth, you water your people, you give to the poor, you make sure that they have some sustenance. You'll get that back from the Most High, man. And not only that, but you get love and admiration from those people that you help, man. They see that
Right.
brotherhood in you, man.
Mm,
And when they get on their feet, if you ever find yourself in time where you need some help, or they will pay that back, man. If they have brotherhood
mm,
also, they will reward you for those works that you've done for them, man.
right.
It might not be nothing big, but those little things that mean so much, that are meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
they will water you back also, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 26. He that withholdeth corn, the people shall curse him,
But that
but
man that
bless.
had that barn and made it bigger so he could store all his corn and withholding it, didn't give nothing to no poor, didn't give no tithes. The people curse him, man, because you're just
Right.
greedy and selfish. You have no care for your brothers. You have no care for your sisters, man. You have no brotherhood. The people curse him. You don't get no respect from the people just because you have. You have and you don't give, man. You are worse
Mm,
than the person that doesn't have. The person that doesn't have and can't give, fair enough, but you have and you still don't give. You are
mm,
wicked. You are greedy, man. You are selfish.
right.
And Slacky, if I could, and we in the ICPK, we're not rich. We're poor just like you, man.
Right.
We're living that same life that you live, and we still give. But though there's people that are rich and they choose to withhold, man. The people cursed you, and they bless us,
Mm,
man. They bless us because we give. We give back to our people. We have brotherhood. We show that we care for our people, man. Go
right.
ahead.
God. But blessings shall be upon the head of him that selleth it.
But blessings is upon the person that sells it, man. That
Mm,
gives it, that allows other people to receive of what the blessings that he's got, man.
that's
Say
right.
if there's a famine and you have a lot of corn, and rather than just withhold it to yourself and make sure you have everything, so nothing can happen to you. You sell it to other people so they can eat also, man. They don't have food, but they have little money. So it's you both benefit. It ain't just you benefit and you know, they have money but they're starving to death because there's nowhere else they can get food. You sell it to your brothers, man. You can either give it freely or you can sell it, man. Either way, you're helping your people eat. You're helping your people live, man. You're not just holding it to yourself. And that man receives blessings of the people. Blessings because you share what you have with others, man. You do something meaningful with what you have. You don't just hold it to yourself and then when you die, you do something meaningful and help people with what you have, man. Go ahead.
God. Verse 27. He that diligently seeketh good procureth favor, but he that seeketh mischief, it shall come unto him.
When you diligently seek good, you procure it, meaning you obtain, you get favor. You get favor the Most High, man. You get favor of the people. You get favor and respect, man. But he that seeketh mischief, he that seeketh to just hoard and only cares for himself and has no brotherhood, you don't seek to give, you seek to take. All you ever do is seek to take and hoard. That mischief will come back onto you, man. Someone's going to take that, man. Someone's going to take it from you and hoard it to themselves. A thief is just going to take everything you have, man. Everything you have and you've stored and you've never given anything. A thief is just going to have and store it and never give everything. Going to do the same evil that you did to your people unto you, man. And you're going to know how it feels to be poor in that situation. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 28. Salaki, I'll read 27 again. He that diligently seeketh good procureth favor, but he that seeketh mischief, it shall come unto him.
If you seek mischief and you just hoard and don't care for anyone else, someone else is going to take and hoard and not care for you, man. Go ahead.
God, verse 28. He that trusteth in his riches shall fall.
If you trust in your riches, you trust in your money, but you don't trust in the Lord, you will fall, man. There's no power in those riches. There's no power in having all this food. There's no power in that. Power comes from the Most High God, man, the one true God, the one true power. That's where power comes from. Go ahead.
God, but the righteous shall flourish as a branch.
But the righteous, those that keep the Lord's statutes and commandments, those that put the kingdom of God first, will flourish as a branch, man. A branch that increases. You know, a branch breaks off into two and increases more and more and more. You will flourish as a branch, man. You will increase more and more. Blessings will come unto you. Like those in the school, you know, the ICBK, the UK school, it started from just 3 people, man.
And then it branched off.
Branch. You see blessings in Most High because they gave. They trusted in righteousness. They didn't trust in riches, man. They trusted in righteousness. And those 3 branches have branched even further, man. They've grown, they've flourished. And look at the school now, man. And think of where the school will be, man. When you trust in righteousness. Go ahead.
Right. And so like I said, branched off, I meant branched out.
Right.
ICPK branched out. Right. That's right. We ain't branched off.
We stayed in the West, man. We stayed.
That's right.
We stayed under that Commander Johnny Hannah, man. We ain't fall to our own understanding. That's another thing too, man. You don't branch off and leave this truth. There is one West, man. You have one mind, one body,
one spirit,
one spirit, man. Go ahead.
That's right.
I was like,
God.
28.
29. I was 29. 29.
You finished on 28. That was it on that. If you could get me, I'll get one more. If you get me 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 6.
Say that again. 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 6.
God. All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 6. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 6. For this I say, He which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly.
But he that sows sparingly, meaning you sow, but you sow sparingly. You hold back. You don't sow. You don't just cast out the seeds. One bit space one. You sow sparingly, you'll reap sparingly, man. You can only
Right.
reap as much as you sow. Go ahead.
But he that soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly,
Mm-hmm.
and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully.
Well, if you sow bountifully, man, if you ain't stingy with these seeds, man, you cast them out, man. You go ahead and plant. You make good use of these seeds, man. You plant them all, you reap bountifully. All them seeds grow, man. In that same way, if you do good, you'll get good, man.
That's right.
If you do good bountifully, you'll get good bountifully. If you do good
Yeah.
sparingly, you receive blessings. You receive blessings, but you receive them sparingly, man.
Right.
Go ahead.
And verse 7, every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudge,
Go ahead.
not grudgingly or of necessity,
So
for
every
God.
man, according to how he wants to give, according to how his heart is, how his mind is, how he thinks, and how he chooses to give, not grudgingly. Meaning you don't give it grudgingly. When you give tithes, you ain't battling every month to listen, man. I want this money, man. I want these new J's.
Mm,
Fine. I'll pay tithes. I'll pay 10%. Fine. You don't give it grudgingly, man. You give it willingly.
that's right.
You say, it's like you say, I've got some tithe money to give, or you set up a direct debit. You pay it each month, man. Before you even have a chance to look at it, it's already gone out of your account.
Mm,
You don't give it grudgingly. You give it willingly, man. You let that 10% go, man. It don't belong to you. It belongs to the Most High. You don't. You don't.
God.
You don't. You ain't fighting with it, man. You give it. Go ahead.
Right. Verse 7, every man according as he proposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver.
Because the Most High loves a cheerful giver, man. The Most High loves when you're cheerful as you give. Most High loves when you don't put your faith in riches. See your penny pinching. He loves when you have so much brotherhood, you give willingly, man. You give freely as not to make yourself poor. But if you have abundance, you give freely, man. You give willingly. You ain't just
That's
looking
right.
to buy the newest watch, the newest car. You give willingly to your people, man. You make sure they're good. You make sure everyone can enjoy your blessings, man. The blessings of the Most High is given to you. You want everyone to enjoy them, man. The Most High will give you even more blessings for that. Go ahead.
God, verse 8, and God is able to make all grace abound towards you.
God is able to make all grace abound towards you, able to give you all these blessings. Make sure everything goes your way, man. This type of brother, this man that has so much brotherhood, he gives freely of all his blessings. The Most High will continue to give grace unto you, continue to give you blessings. Make sure everything goes well. Go ahead.
God, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things may abound to every good work.
So we'll make sure that you have as is sufficient, man. He'll make sure you have what you need and in all things so you can continue to do this good work, man.
That's right.
When you have sufficiently, he knows that this type of brother will continue to do this good work, man. You're bound to every good work. And with that, that's the class. Also, like anyone watching, if you're unsure how to pay tithes, you contact the school, you contact the camp leader, and we will we'll show you how to pay tithes. We'll show you what to do. or you can go online on the ICPK website and pay tithes online. You want to contact your camp leader, let them know you're paying tithes and you want to do it and how to do it. With that, it's like you said, you have the security announcements.
I'm on my foot.
No sweat. I'm gonna read the security announcements. Okay, so we are the ICPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander Jenny Hanna. Rules for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. And after 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from a head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. And after that 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10, which is what we just broke down in this class. It means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or the teacher. Priest fund, there's also a priest fund, which is a free will offering for the priest. It's not mandatory. You can give whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations is the closing of the Feast of Tabernacles, which is on the 17th of October, which is next Monday. All Akim and Aquath, remember to take the bulletin board in the hallway. And if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black. That's boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Priest Officer 500 to Zapwan for the salute.
Khan, and with that, Amadim to stand. Amadim Shabbat. Amadim. Hurrah. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yajamatah. Class dismissed. Most thank Christ. All right. Tawab class. All right. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah. Yahweh Shemar Allah Tan Hashem Yahushua. All right. Shalom, Israel.
Shalom.